Hello everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at DeepComposer, which if you're not familiar, DeepComposer is a service that was launched at reInvent 2019. It's a service that kind of goes along with services that have been launched in the past, like DeepLens and Deep Racer, and it's designed to help teach developers machine learning skills. So DeepComposer specifically focuses on a technique called adversarial or generative networks, and it uses music to teach that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to look at the actual console in AWS. So kind of walk you through what's there, and then I've actually got with me here a DeepComposer device. So we're going to hopefully do a demo here showing you how this works. So hope you enjoy. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is the DeepComposer console in AWS, which currently is in preview, but I think in the coming months this will be available generally. So if you do have access, if you were able to get whitelisted, it's not going to show up right now under the list of services, I don't think. So let's see, if we go down to machine learning, it's still, let's see, it does not show up under machine learning. So if you type in, yeah, it doesn't show up. So what that means is you have to actually type in the URL, and then it'll take you to the DeepComposer page within the AWS console, which if you haven't been whitelisted, I think you'll get like a 404. So anyway, so the main page is just like all the other AWS services. You got some general info on kind of how it works, some pricing data, where you can go to find documentation, things like that. So pretty standard landing page for AWS services. Under the menu, there's 3 options currently. And so the first option we're going to go to is Music Studio. So if you click on that, this is going to pull up basically a keyboard simulator. And this is where you'll actually interact with the machine learning model and DeepComposer. So when this loads, you'll notice that this keyboard is interactive. So this is an actual simulated keyboard. So if you don't have a device hooked up, then you can actually just use your mouse and kind of click around in here. Or if you do happen to have the DeepComposer device plugged in, then you can use that instead. So what this allows you to do is when you want to, or it allows you to record a piece, and then you can play it back. And then once you've recorded it, then you will see in a bit how you can actually take that piece that you've recorded and send that off to the machine learning model to then generate music. And essentially all you do is you just click the record button. It'll give you this prompt, and then you start playing some music. When you're done, you can just hit stop. You can play it back if you want to, or it'll stop after, once it hits the end of the recording, which is a pretty short recording time. So anyway, if you don't know how to play the keyboard, if you're kind of musically dumb like me, then you can come into here, and there's some already pre-generated music. So things like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you can come in and just select that from the drop down. So you can still use DeepComposer even if you don't know how to play music. Or like the keyboard or something. So, that's definitely an option. And if you just want to play around with it, just to kind of get familiar with it, this is a good way to start. So, all right. If you go back to the menu here, come down to models. So the models are the actual deep learning models, the generative adversarial network models that are used to take the music as input and then turn it into a full 5-piece accompaniment or composition. And right now there's not a way to add your own models that I know of. But what you can do is you can come into this create model, and AWS has these pre-trained models that use different styles of music. So there's jazz, there's pop, rock, symphony, and then Jonathan Colton. And so you can pick any one of these, and then you'll clone it, and then it'll show up in your list of models here. So based on whatever name you gave it, if you click on one, it'll show you some information about the training, and you can kind of look at the type of music and stuff that was used to actually train this model. So in a future video, we're going to look at how you would actually go through that process of training your own model. But this one is just kind of a high-level introduction to DeepComposer. All right, so if we go back, the final menu option is compositions. And so this is where your saved compositions are. So once you've played a piece and you've passed it to the model, and then it's returned its output, it's going to save that as a composition. So you can see here, I've done this a number of times. You can click on any one of these and then load it into the Music Studio, or you can download the composition or share it on SoundCloud. So if you want to, go back to compositions. If we want to load this one in a Music Studio, you can see this is a previous one that I've already done. And so if you were to hit play, you would go through and it would actually play this. So we're going to show this here in just a minute with the demo. So, all right. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is right now to the console. So let's go ahead and see how this thing works in action. Okay, so I do not play the keyboard, but I do have a daughter who does. So I've asked her to help me out with this demo, and she's going to play something on the keyboard that we can use and feed to DeepComposer. So go ahead, Audrey. Awesome. All right, so once we have our piece recorded, then you can come in and you can generate the rest of the accompaniment. So to do that, all you have to do is come up and pick the model that you want to use. So in our case, we have the cloned symphony model from DeepComposer that they provide as one of the samples. So we're going to select that, and then you just hit generate, which you can see I've already done, but there's no way to undo that once you've done it. At least I couldn't figure it out. So come up, hit generate composition. After about a second, you'll end up with the other 4 parts that make up the composition, and you can play it back using the play button. All right, so that is AI-generated music. If you don't like some of the instruments, you can come up to the drop-downs and change them to whatever you want. So there's a bunch of options in here. Like if you wanted to, let's say, switch the contrabass to an acoustic bass, you could try that. It's going to keep the same tones. It'll just synthesize the sound differently. So you can try and see what that sounds like. So not too much different, but if you changed all these different instruments, you could end up with kind of a different piece. You can mute them, pick different instruments, play around with it, and then end up with kind of your own creation here. So once you're done, you can come up to the actions and you can download the file as either an MP3 or MIDI file, or if you want, you can share it directly to SoundCloud. So there's a way to link your account or to authenticate with SoundCloud. As soon as you do that, you'll get this dialog, which allows you to give the file a name and then hit share, and it'll push directly to SoundCloud. So definitely a pretty cool way to get introduced to GANs. So I encourage everybody to check it out. Thanks.